I've talked about this before. Carol posted this video up, okay? And yeah, people have gone off the deep end. As the government once again pushes for more legislation, more laws. This time saying that one must get consent, in other words, a yes, to sex with somebody through every step of the sex. You want foreplay, you must ask, and they must say yes. They must agree, yes, verbally say yes. Well, I've said this before. I understand Carol's rant. I understand how she feels. But I've said this before, and this is what happens when people don't pay attention to what somebody tells them and they don't go look into it. They get upset when they see more and more laws being passed that are absolutely ridiculous. Okay? But to get upset over ridiculous laws being passed when you've been told why it's happening and all the proof is in your face, I mean, it's not going to stop. There's going to be more ridiculous laws on top of more, on top of more, on top of more. For one, to enslave a nation, you first must make so many laws, that there's nobody that will be able to uphold the laws. Don't matter what kind of law-abiding citizen you are, that you swear that you'll never break any laws, you will break a law. Oh, yes, you will. Because there will be so many laws that you won't be able to stop yourself from breaking the law because you're a human being. And you'll break a law naively without knowing you broke a law. Now let's examine laws for a moment. Laws are man-made. Laws, in common sense, in any contract or anything else, cannot apply to anybody that does not agree upon it. See, when they pass these laws, the majority of all bills that are pushed through Congress, pushed through the Senate, the House, the whole 9 yards, the people up there doing the voting on it are given 10, 15 minutes to read a bill that's 3, 4, 500 pages long, sometimes 2,000, 3,000 pages long, knowing full well they couldn't read it in all that time. Then it's all wrote in legalese and broke down into sections to where every paragraph you read, you have to look up that paragraph to see what the meaning of that paragraph is. So it's designed that would take you days to read through one bill, and they give you 15 minutes to read it, knowing that you couldn't read it in 15 minutes, even if the best reader in the world couldn't do it, because of the way it's wrote. They know this. This is how they pass tyrannical laws into existence to begin with. What should be happening is nobody votes upon the bill until the entire bill's read. When you wrote it, if it reaches more than 50 pages, it's automatically thrown in the trash can, and you get to start all over again. If it's wrote in legalese and you have to go look up the meanings, it's thrown in the trash can and you have to start all over again. But this is not the way it works. We allow this to happen because of stupidity and ignorance, for one. For two, the people in the United States are never taught the laws. When you grow up in school, you was never educated to the laws. They're going to tell you that ignorance of the law isn't their problem, that it's your job to look up the law and to know the law. But if you're the average citizen, you're a carpenter, a plumber, electrician, a mechanic, just a regular laborer in a factory, a restaurant worker, what have you, the majority of all jobs, you work in a grocery store, what have you, right? You're not going to be educated to the laws. And if you go to look up the laws like they're telling you must look up because ignorance of the law isn't their problem, you'll find out that you can't look up the law because it's wrote in legalese. So unless you spent mega money and went to college to learn legalese, you wouldn't be able to understand the law to begin with. See, this is deliberately done to stop you from knowing the law. That's right, so that they can enslave you. So that they can accuse you of breaking a law that you had no idea was a law. And then to use their doublespeak back on you and say that it's your fault for not looking it up, when in technicality, it's not your fault, it's their fault. But it's deliberately done. It's deliberately done to enslave a nation. That's right, that's what's going on here. That's not going to stop because we don't stand up for ourselves to stop it. The way I see it is you live in a lawless nation already. None of these rules that they're saying are laws apply to you. They don't apply to you, Carol. They don't apply to me. They don't apply to anybody. Nobody. Because as long as you have senators, congressmen, and presidents and law enforcement breaking the very laws they say that we're supposed to be upholding, then none of them laws apply to anybody. Laws are to be designed to be straight across the board and applied to everybody. I mean everybody. Senators, congressmen, bankers, corporations. That's right, presidents. Doesn't matter what your position is. Law enforcement officers, highway troopers, feds, don't matter what you are, sheriffs, all of you. Laws are to apply to everybody equally straight across the board, and I mean everybody. And if the laws don't apply to everybody, then they apply to nobody. End of story. So we live in a lawless land where you can do whatever you damn well want. And if they want to say, no, you broke a law, no, you didn't break a law, because there is no laws, because you didn't make everybody accountable to the law, so therefore there is no law. For one. For two, when you don't educate people to the laws, then the laws don't apply to the people you didn't educate to. End of story. It's that plain and simple. You cannot make something apply to somebody that you did not educate them or teach them about. You cannot expect somebody to uphold a rule when the rule was not told to them. It's that plain and simple. If you're not told that there's a rule that needs to be followed, we're going to say rule because that's all law is a man-made rule. Okay? If you're not told or informed or educated to the rules, like at school or like anywhere in life, you cannot be held accountable for breaking the rules. Because first, one must know the rules to be able to be responsible to uphold the rules. And since we clearly, very clearly, live in a criminal land with criminals running you, who don't educate you to the rules, the laws, who makes it so that if you try to look it up, you can't look it up because you'd have to go to school and spend lots of money to learn how to read a new foreign tongue called legalese to understand it to begin with. With Carol being an attorney, then Carol should know all about legalese. And she should also know that legalese isn't something that was taught in the school system. That is something the majority of people know nothing about. They could not look up a law to begin with. This should be the first red flag to Carol that something is wrong. Yes, something is wrong. To enslave a nation is what you're seeing going on here. They will not stop passing bills and laws. They will continue to pass more and more and more and more and more and more, nonstop more and more and more, until everybody, and I mean everybody, has broken one of their hidden rules. That's right, hidden rules, hidden laws. Because the average Joe or Jane cannot look up a law because it'll be wrote in legalese. They would have to go hire somebody and pay somebody to tell them what that means. This means you're not educating people to the rules, the laws. So therefore, they do not apply to you. End of story. As I've said a million times before, you cannot hold somebody accountable to uphold a rule, a law, when you don't teach them of the law or the rule. You cannot punish them for violation of something that was never told. But when you live in a criminal society with the mafia, the mob, the syndicates, the Crips, the Bloods, a bunch of greedy criminals dictating and running you because you allow it, This is what happens to you. This is what I've said a million times before. Carol's rant is legit, but at the same time, Carol's rant comes from what I've said so many thousand times before. Okay? As far as this permission to have sex, you must say yes. It don't apply to you. I don't care if they're throwing it on TV. Did you consent to this? How many of you agree that this is how it should be? I'll bet you the overwhelming majority don't. So see, it don't matter what they pass, because unless everybody agrees to it or the majority agrees to it, it don't apply. It only applies if you allow it to apply to you. But see, once again, this is what happens when you're in a land full of cowards. That's right. We live in a land full of cowards who won't stand up for themselves and will keep turning their back to everything that's going on, thinking it's going to go away. You can keep turning your back to what's going on and think it's going to go away till you're blue in the face. That's right, till you're blue in the face. It ain't going to go away. And I'm going to show you something else here while I'm at it, okay? I want to show you one more thing before I get off this here video. We're going to go to Monty Graff's channel first off. We're going to go Wake Up Call to America with Monty. And we're going to click on a link that Monty Graff provided. Now, I'm not going to play it. Ron Monty's right. Why they're allowing this up without flagging it down is beyond me. See, when I posted a video showing a car accident and people hurt, and they claimed it was from texting on the phone, I can't prove if it was or it wasn't. But the point was to send a message to people texting on phones, not to be texting on our phone, because you can't put your eyes on your phone and on the road at the same time. You hurry up and flagged it down, didn't you? But you're going to allow reality. This is what's going to happen to every last one of us. Because you're going to allow these rules to get in your way. Okay? And when you allow these rules to get in your way, see what's going on here? They're shooting them in the back of the head. They lined them all up at gunpoint. This is what will happen when they take your guns. They'll come for you. They'll take you off. They'll take you somewhere. They'll line you up. And they'll blow your head off. Because they can. Because you're a coward. Because you won't stand up for yourself. See, so this will happen to the people here in America too, because you ain't going to stand up for yourselves. This is what happens to cowards. See, I've said it before. Why do you need a military? You know why you need a military? Because you failed to grow up. Not because you need protection. Because you failed to grow up. Failure. Complete failure to grow up. Because if we were growing up adults worldwide, you wouldn't need a military. Because you'd learn how to compromise and work together and not dictate somebody else's beliefs or life. And you would learn how to work together and compromise, and there would be no wars. But when you fail to grow up, which is what's happened, then you need to have your little G.I. Joe armies. That's right. And you need to have some criminals at the top controlling your little G.I. Joe armies. So that you can kill and code each other with your sickness, with your inability to grow up, with your childish behavior. Matter of fact, there's more children in this world that are more of an adult at 3 years old than the 50-year-old. No lie. That's right, that 3-year-old's more of an adult than the majority of all of you. No lie. Fact. Monty Graff shared the link to this video, and I would suggest you watch it. Maybe a little hard for you to watch, but I would suggest you listen to what Monty's telling you, because he's right. Wake up call to all Americans, to all of America. Correct. Monty was 100% correct here. What he shared with you is your fate. It's what's going to happen to everybody, as long as you continue to be cowards. But once again, If you want to enslave a nation, you make so many laws that nobody can possibly uphold the law. That's the first step. You don't want people understanding the laws. Okay, you want to make it hard on them to understand the law so that they will break a law. Because you really don't want them to abide by the laws as you're making more laws. Because you want to get them into the system so that you can strip them of rights. That's right. If you can get them into the system, you can strip them of a right to bear arms, can't you? That's right. And now we have our new mental shit going on. So if we can say that you're mentally blah, 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 we can deny you have the right to bear arms. You know, like we did our little children with the no-fly list. The little children, you know, the 5-year-olds, the 6-year-olds that's on the no-fly list, and their parents can't get their child's name off the no-fly list for the life of them. That's because the government don't want your child ever having the right to bear arms. And as soon as they get your guns away from all of you, which they want, this will be your fate. But you'll rightly have this coming to you. Why? Because you're not willing to stand up for yourselves. And as far as the ridiculous law about getting consent and saying yes, well, yes, everybody should have sex. You don't just force sex on somebody. I agree. But no, I don't agree that somebody should have to say yes to every act of sex with somebody or it's automatically breaking the law. Right now, it's like I said before, you live in a lawless land. I'm not kidding you. Do whatever you want. These laws don't apply to you. You was never taught these laws. You didn't agree to these laws. See, to make a law that's legit, that applies to everybody, then there first should be a vote in every single state, a legit vote. I mean a legit vote, not a scam. So you have to go back to the paper ballot where people can't manipulate it, and you have to pick random people off the street to do the counting. No politicians, no fucking police officers, no certain people to do the counting. Every time there's a vote, it's random people off the street picking randomly. That's right, it does the counting. This way it makes it impossible for you to manipulate and fuck up the voting system. Then when you got a law, if it's anything more than 10 pages long, it goes in the trash. And once you get a law that's within 10 pages long, then it's passed out state to everybody, and everybody has a chance to read it. Everybody, all citizens have a chance to read it. Then you have a legit vote by paper, hand ballots. And each time you have a vote, you pick random people off the street. Random people picked just randomly off the street. So there could be no manipulation in the voting process. Then, when the vote happens, then, if that law is voted in, it's voted in legitimately by people. Everybody knows about the law because it wasn't written legalese. And then they can consent to it. Now you have a consent to the law, of law that was voted in by the majority that now can apply to everybody. Until that happens, these laws apply to nobody. And as long as there's going to be continuous manipulation to keep people from knowing the laws, then they apply to nobody. I didn't consent to be governed. Trickery does not apply to me. It's like a contract. If you don't show people the details in the contract, it's non-void. I didn't consent. Trickery doesn't work because I'm a human being. You didn't show me the details. No, trickery doesn't count. That means you tried to manipulate it for your own want, which makes you a criminal, and it doesn't apply to me. End of story. But as soon as you people get your, you know what, and wake up to what I'm telling you, then maybe you understand what's going on here is how to enslave a nation. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're enslaving everybody. So wake up, smell the roses, and stop these criminals, or your fate will be right here. And that's no lie.